talk about balance, and we're going to use the form that's in our popular daily series, The Basics of Balance. And really, balance is all about choice. Choice in that you can stand still, you can move forward, you can move backward, you can move side to side, and yet you remain balanced. And the way you do that is by really focusing, becoming more body aware and utilizing those underlying principles in Tai Chi. So we're going to use a few movements that will point out those underlying principles as we go. The first couple principles that I want you to think about are columns, being rooted and grounded, substantial and insubstantial. So we'll use those three right at first. And this is not exactly a move in Tai Chi, but all I want you to do is lift one knee. So if you try to be completely balanced, even weighted, and you try to lift a knee and you try to stay balanced, it doesn't work. You can't stay evenly weighted if you're going to be balanced as you lift your knee. You have to understand bringing all your weight over onto this right column. This becomes completely substantial. Then the left leg becomes completely insubstantial, and it becomes easy to lift. So combining that idea of columns and substantial and insubstantial, letting that left side become substantial, letting the right side become insubstantial, now that right side is easy to lift. The other part of that is being rooted and grounded. So just be evenly balanced, evenly weighted, right now, and let your feet feel the ground. Let your feet kind of wiggle them around just a little bit, and now try to find that tripod, that point behind your big toe, the point behind your little toe, and a point right at your heel. Try to feel all three of those. Now, let your knees be nice and soft. They're not locked. We're never locked in Tai Chi. Let your knees be soft. Now bring that weight over to the left, onto that left column. Keep that column straight. In other words, your shoulders are in harmony with your hips. That right leg becomes completely empty or insubstantial. And now lift. Notice that this left leg stays a little bit soft. It's not locked. It's not like this. Notice I'm less balanced. If I keep it a little bit bent, then I'm more balanced. I can feel that communication from the ground. Anytime I lock a joint, it's going to block that communication. So we want that feeling from the ground, that information from our feet, to come up through the body into our brain so that we can remain balanced. Bring the weight over onto that right, keeping this supporting leg slightly bent. Let the left leg become completely empty, and now lift. So let's add a kick to this. Bring the weight over to the left, lift the right, and kick. Now we've added a different body awareness that has to happen now, because we're not just lifting and staying static. Now we're actually moving that leg, and that changes our center of gravity just a bit. Kick and bring it down. Think about being rooted and grounded. Think about keeping those columns intact, understanding your substantial and insubstantial. And now we have to worry about movement. If, as we lift and kick, our columns come out of balance, our columns break, right? If we try to do this when we kick or even do this when we kick, it's less balance. We want to keep those columns intact. We want to stay rooted and grounded. We also want to think about our dantian, 2 inches in from the belly button, 2 inches down. That dantian needs to be over this base of support as we kick. Then if we do our kick, smash, and box the ears, smash, that's the easy part, we have to lower that center of gravity, moving from that dantian down, and then moving from the dantian coming forward to remain in our stable columns, to remain balanced, to box the ears. So let's try that again. Bring your weight over to the left, thinking about your columns. Let that right leg become completely empty. Lift. Kick. You're thinking about your center of gravity here. Smash. Lower that center of gravity. Then move from the dantian, moving forward, and box the ears. It's just like if we were to do kick, smash, lowering that center of gravity, and then we move into pushing chi. It's just like pushing chi. It's not a big movement. If we lift, kick, smash, and box the ears, it's not a big movement. We don't want to fall forward. Remember what I said at the beginning. Balance is about choice. When we do kick, smash, and box the ears properly, we have the option to lower that center of gravity and move forward. We're not falling forward. If we're not concerned with those underlying principles, if we're not concerned with moving from the dantian, we have no choice but to fall forward. There's nothing else to do. So remember, balance is about choice. Let's do Repulse the Monkey. So bring in your left foot forward. That right foot is behind, the right hand is behind. You bring your weight back to the right so that the left leg can be completely empty. Then we step back. There's lots going on. It's a simple move, but there's actually lots going on with balance. If you think about bringing your weight to the left now, step back, and one more, step back. If we keep our columns intact, and I'm going to go kind of on the diagonal here, if we don't keep our columns intact, if we try to lean back, this is not a balanced position. I have no choice but to go backwards. If I try to counterbalance myself, then I can't, this front leg can't be empty, and it's very hard to move backwards. Keeping those columns intact, thinking about being rooted and grounded, thinking about moving from the dantian, and being concerned with our substantial and insubstantial. If I know that this leg is completely insubstantial, I can kick. We've done that before. Stepping back, rotating on that central column. Bringing the weight back to the left now. My right leg is completely empty. But look, I have the choice to move backwards. I have the choice, if I'm completely balanced with my columns intact, I'm understanding my substantial and insubstantial, I can actually move forward here. If I change my mind and I want to step backwards, I can. If I want to change my mind and step to the side, I can. So remember that Keeping these underlying principles in play in your head helps you remain balanced, but it also gives you the choice of where you're moving. Let's look at deflect, intercept, and punch. Not a move that you've probably thought about as far as being balanced, right? It's a pretty easy move. I'll turn towards the mirror. If you bring your weight to the left, your weight's on the left, you step out, deflect, intercept, and punch, right? It doesn't feel like a balance challenge, but if you start to think of it in terms of balance, think about your columns. Think about being rooted and grounded. Think about rotating on that central column. Think about as you step out, your one leg now becomes completely substantial. This left leg has to become completely insubstantial so that it can move forward. Yes, you can center step here. This is just a tap of the toe. That's totally fine. But then you also have to be concerned of where you step coming into that punch so that you have a nice stable stance. If you step out, deflect, intercept, and punch, this is not a stable stance. So if I do it towards you here, where if I step too narrow, where my feet are in alignment like this, this is not a stable stance at all. You have to think about where's my foot going that I will remain stable. It can't step right in front of the other foot. Has to be a little wide, lowering that center of gravity. We're still thinking about moving from the Dantian here. So when we do our deflect, intercept, thinking about that weight shift onto that right, left is completely empty, then we have a good stable stance to punch. Remember, we're coming against an opponent. We want to be balanced. We want to be stable. So let's look at one more move, brush knee. So holding the ball to the right, this left leg has to become completely empty. This right leg is slightly bent. As you step forward, heel to toe, you rotate into that movement. You move from the Dantian so that you're not overreaching. Then, as you move forward, you're bringing that Dantian over this left leg, your base of support, center of mass over your base of support, letting that right leg become completely empty. Again, is you are keeping your eyes on the horizon. You're keeping your eyes on your opponent. What happens if I look down where my foot's going? I've broken my columns. I'm no longer in balance. I'm no longer in a choice situation, right? If I look down, I might think that I'm getting more information from the ground, but I'm not. You need to remain rooted and grounded, but allowing that communication to come up from your feet. Don't look down. The other piece to that, again, is like deflect, intercept, and punch. As you're stepping forward, you have to have a good, stable stance. You have to let your body step wide enough, remain low, then you're going to remain balanced. Let's do that brush knee a few times now. Holding that ball to the right, step out left, brush knee, feeling that substantial and insubstantial change. Now all the weight's going to come onto this left. Let the right leg become completely empty. Your columns are intact. Dantian is right where it's supposed to be, over this base of support, which is slightly bent. You're keeping your eyes level. You have the choice to now move forward, rotating into the next brush knee, keeping your shoulders in harmony with your hips. Now think about it again. Let that water flow all the way into that right leg. Now you have the choice to move forward with the left. Your substantial and insubstantial is very important, but being rooted and grounded, feeling that stable stance is also very, very important. You can use brush knee just to think through all of those pieces of balance.